And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. TK joining us from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. I'm Ronnie Rance. We present it each and every day when we do Sports Shorts Daily by LeBears Casino. By the way, LeBears giving away a car this Saturday night in Baton Rouge. If you're around, come by anytime between 6 and 10. That is when they're going to be announcing winners every hour on the hour 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You must be present to win. You can win money, you can win free play, you can win a spot in the finals where you can win a car at 10 o'clock. So stop by LeBears Casino. Free entry just for showing up. Obviously, you earn more entries the more you play. Okay, so Tommy, the conference realignment has shaken up the world right now. Everybody's talking about it. It's looking more and more like there's going to be the big two, the SEC, the Big Ten, and then maybe everybody else is everybody else. USC and UCLA reported yesterday expected to join the Big Ten. That's not all that's supposed to happen in the Big Ten. What else besides USC and UCLA are you hearing?
Well, we're talking about possibly Notre Dame and Stanford. Ross Dellinger was Sports Illustrated. Of course, Ross spent some time in Baton Rouge at the Advocate a few years ago. He broke it yesterday. I was kind of tooling through Twitter, and I'm like, wait, what? What? I had to double read it. Like, whoa, UCLA and USC joining the Big Ten, and of course, social media, got on fire. Everybody had a thought, a comment, putting up the maps showing, one end of the U.S. to the other. But Ronnie, look, we've seen conference realignment now for 20 years or so. Now this is the bigger earthquake with what's going to happen. Do we lead to super conferences? Does football separate from the NCAA for 32 or 40 or 44 teams? I mean, it's going to be wild and crazy going forward. There's nobody that runs the NCAA. It's on autopilot. So that's not a factor. But money talks, and, sooner or later there could be a TV contract, kind of like the old CFA, the College Football Association thing in the 90s, where they tried to put certain teams on TV. It just didn't work. It was before social media time and before the explosion of television and platforms and all this stuff, where you didn't have but a couple of channels that broadcasted the game. Now you got dozens. So, I think people are just going to have to put a seatbelt on and get ready for the ride. It's going to be crazy. You're going to hear this, you're going to hear that. And then the other thing is the delay. Like, we know Texas and Oklahoma are coming to the SEC. We don't exactly know when. Now they're talking about USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten in 2024. Well, Ronnie, we're halfway through 2022, so that's a lot of time to go. And then don't leave out the fact that all the other sports other than football are going to be affected here, unless football can pull some kind of thing off and be on their own.
What's interesting is that LSU right now, and look, these things can all change, right? But right now, LSU in 2024 is scheduled to play USC and UCLA, two of the first three games that season, which, oh, by the way, would be the very first game that USC plays as a Big Ten member, would be against LSU in a neutral site in Las Vegas. But who knows if those games will really happen? Things can change so much over the next couple of years with restructuring college football that where maybe these schedules change a little bit. But right now, as it stands, USC week 1 in Vegas, then LSU plays a game at home. They have an off week, and then they play UCLA, a return game for that Rose Bowl one a couple of years ago, last year. So that would be amazing. The timing of it would be amazing if those were the first couple big games in the Big Ten for those teams, and it comes against LSU. I wonder what's going to happen, Tommy, to the other conferences, meaning okay, you're going to have the SEC and you're going to have the Big Ten, and what do those numbers grow to be? Do they grow to be 16? Do they grow to be 20? Do they grow to 24? Is it just simply two conferences, a 24 team here and a 24 team there? Right now, it looks like the Big 12 has put themselves in a position to hang around by adding BYU and other schools, although they're the next tier down, right? If Stanford joins Notre Dame in the Big Ten, which that rumor is out there strong and it makes sense, then what's going to happen to Arizona State? I mean, they're going to have to find a team, right, to jump on. And clearly, if you're Arizona State, if you're Oregon or Oregon State, Washington, if you're these programs, you don't think of yourself as a mid-tier college. You think of yourself as one of the big boys. Well, it's looking like the big boys are two conferences, and everybody else is everybody else. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I do agree with you. You and I talked before we went on air. There is no way under God's green earth that these non-football related sports can survive with volleyball traveling from Connecticut, to Jersey to Stanford, and all these other sports, baseball, softball, golf. They can't be crossing the country with the price of airfare and everything else these days. It doesn't make sense. There's going to be football and then something else. I got to believe.
I can't see that there won't be a split. Ronnie, a funny tweet yesterday, somewhere in the middle of all this, somebody said, "Man, I really love the way college football was way back in 2019." Like it. You look. Of course, that's the year the LSU won the national title. And you look at that season, you look at what has happened since then, the announcement about Oklahoma and Texas, which maybe is one of the starting points of this entire shake-up, reorganization, whatever you want to call it. And then, of course, I tweeted this too. Dear Big Ten conference officials, change the name of your conference. Let people know you can count, okay? The Big Ten's had 14 teams. Change the name of the conference to some Northeast Conference. Then you have the Southeast Conference and the Northeast Conference, the NEC, SEC. I mean, it's wild and crazy. Right. And oh, by the way, you're going to have a football season this year. And, Ronnie, it's good for football announcers because they're going to have so much to talk about. Pre-game shows may expand by 3 hours. Post-game shows because you're going to get the rumor that Notre Dame's doing this. And then how about this, Ronnie? What if the people who are funding Live Golf come in with billions and billions of dollars and say, we'll fund the football super conference? Guess what? It'll happen.
The thing is, Tommy, is that, for those of us that are a little bit nostalgic, and I guess anything over the age of about 30, you might be a little bit nostalgic. Under 30, you don't care. But this is just turning into not college football, right? I mean, we know that. We know that it's been minor league football, semi-pro, whatever you want to call it, whatever name you want to put on it, the developmental league for the NFL, particularly for the big programs like an LSU. But now with the transfer portal and the NIL money and then this conference realignment, and gone are the rivalries and the traditions. It's just another day of football. It's pro football is really what it is. It's worse than pro football, though, because at least in pro football, I know that Taysom Hill signed a 2-year contract, and he can't leave the Saints unless they cut him, right? These players, they can leave the team if they get yelled at practice and got their feelings hurt. They can go in the transfer portal and jet out. So it is just it's oogie. I think it's going to have long-term effect in a negative way by a large portion of the fan base. Now, is that fan base important enough to make a difference at the box office? I don't know, because what matters is selling suites, selling sponsorships, making sure you have a pot of money in the NIL. The upper decks tickets and buying popcorn and all for those cheap seats, yes, it matters, but those are 10-1, 10 people here, one person here is equivalent to 10 up there. And so, will that layman fan like myself get so disgusted and frustrated and oogied out by this constant revolving door of players that you don't even know from 1 month to the next who's on the team? You don't know if there's no carryover to next year. The coaches are coming and going. The players are coming and going. The conferences are coming and going. The rivalries are coming and going. It's just a different world, and I don't know that it doesn't carry the same emotion. That's more the term. It doesn't carry the same passion and emotion that it once did.
Ronnie, you looking to buy one of these conferences? Kip wants to know. No, I mean, Ronnie, I'm like you. That's going to be the unintended consequence. What does this cause 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road? And We're not smart enough to know. Nobody is. So that's I'm like you. People are just going to say, I'm going to find something else to do with my time, my money, this, that, and the other. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. You're going to end up with, again, shows like ours here, Sports Shorts Daily. We got plenty to talk about. I remember the days when we had to prepare for an hour or 2 hours to do a 1 hour show. Now we just have to take 3 minutes before we go in the air, catch up on stories, and go forward.
A couple of comments from some of our people chiming in. Chance, of course, mentioned the Pac-12 imploding, Big 12 trying to poach Utah, Colorado, and Arizona schools. Crazy how each domino move creates counter moves. I'm that right now that's the move. If you're Arizona and Utah, you got to jump into something, right? You got to jump into the Big 12. If Arizona State, Utah, Colorado, all those teams jump into that Big 12. BYU, if they jump into that Big 12, then they legitimize that Big 12 even more, and that could be like SEC, Big 10, Big 12. I don't know. Is there a fourth? Is there room for a fourth? I guess the ACC is going to do something. I mean, 4 conferences, Tommy. 4 conferences with 16 teams each. I mean, that's 64 teams if you went that route. 64 teams. There's not more than 64 teams that have a chance of winning a national championship or being super competitive. So I'm okay with that number. By the way, Tommy putting up on the screen, the Baton Rouge Rougarou at home tonight. Free ticket night tonight. You don't have to take your wallet out to get through the gate. Absolutely free tickets tonight, thanks to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge. And not only are we going to let you and all your family and friends in free, but we're going to have fireworks for you, a great fireworks show during the 7th inning stretch. If you weren't at the last game, it was amazing. We do it every Friday night. This is our second of 4 Fridays, but this one's free. It's absolutely free, thanks to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge. So come on out tonight. First pitch at 7:05. Gates open at 6 o'clock at the Rougarou. We've won 2 in a row. Break up the Rougarou, taking on the Victoria Generals. I think this is the first game of the second part of the season, right, Tommy? The first game of the.
It is, and the Acadiana Cane Cutters won the first half of the season. They come to town tomorrow night, so it's time for the Rougarou to pay them guys back a little bit. Cane Cutters kind of had the Rougarou numbers, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking for a lot of people out at Goldsby Field.
Yeah, tonight is fireworks. Tomorrow night, if you can't make it tonight, or you want to go to both, Saturday night is Cheeseburger in Paradise night. $2 Chris's Specialty Meats cheeseburgers. I'm telling you, they are the best hamburgers in all of any ballpark in America. Also, we got the Kirkland Specialty Jumbo hot dogs. And so coming out tomorrow night, half-price frozen margaritas as well. That is on Saturday night. We'll have the Hawaiian shirts going. Everybody will get a lay at the gate. We're playing island music, a lot of fun. Saturday night as well, 7:05. Last home game for a while, so come on out this weekend, Friday and Saturday, for the Rougarou. Some other comments and things. Steven saying, when will these conferences just do away with the name of their conference? Not bad. I mean, it's kind of getting silly, right? To call things the Big 10 and have UCSC in it, or Big 12 and have BYU in it.
When's it going to get to this, Ronnie? The Sports Shorts Daily Conference or the Talking Sports with TK Conference? Yeah, I'm not trying. Hey, you can have the Chevrolet Conference. I'll throw it out there. Or you can have the Ford Conference, or you can have the Doritos Conference, or the Allstate Insurance. I mean, money talks.
It's not a bad idea. Let's see. Steven saying, when will the new Big 10 be for all sports or just the Big? I think we addressed that. We believe, and we don't know anything, but it just doesn't make any sense financially for them to have, women's tennis flying cross country, every week to play each other. Maybe they have in those seasons, those sports, maybe they're very divisionalized, like there's not a lot of cross division play unless you get to a conference championship somewhere. Chance also saying college football is pro without salary cap. I 100% agree with you. We're hearing numbers in the millions of dollars now on some NIL deals for quarterbacks. So, yeah.
Well, Ronnie, another breaking story this morning. The video has surfaced of Texas A&M football coaches telling recruits, they were giving them a tour of the stadium, and they were looking at a suite, and the video football coach from A&M says, hey, the guys, people that are in these suites are going to make NIL deals for you. Going back to Jimbo Fisher ripping Saban when Saban said they bought the team, and then Jimbo said we know nothing about it, we're not involved in that. Jimbo Fisher's looking worse every day now that his video surfaced.
What school was that? Did you say?
Texas A&M.
Yeah.
The video's out with coaches telling recruits that the people that own these suites are going to give you NIL deals if you come here. So that just obliterates Jimbo Fisher's claim that we didn't do this when he took after Saban. And Saban shouldn't have called him out the way he did, and he's apologized for that. So, man, it's just more craziness to add to the world of college sports or professional sports known as college sports. I don't know. It's, man, every way you look, there's a story. I got a great LSU football quote that came out last week. You want to go now, or should we save it?
No, go ahead.
You're going to like this, Ronnie. Walker Howard Jr. or Walker Howard last week told Miles Brennan, said, hey, dude, when you got to LSU, I was in the 7th grade. Let that sink in.
He was probably, when he got to LSU, he was in the 7th grade. Well, that's crazy. That's crazy.
But, I mean, again, you got the extra years. Drew Bianco's now in the portal because he's still got another year, granted, due to the pandemic thing.
So Drew Bianco is expected to go to Ole Miss to be a backup catcher play for his dad.
Well, he's coaching with his dad's the Team USA coach, and Drew's the bullpen coach with his team right now.
Right. That's kind of been known privately behind the scenes for a few weeks. I guess he just did it once their season was over with. So that wouldn't be a distraction, and you wouldn't have reporters asking his dad, well, whatever. Right. But that's virtually a done deal that he's going to go there and be a player, maybe more like a player coach, right? Because we know Drew Bianco's not a great player, but he's a good team leader. He did that. He was a leader for this team. I know Jay Johnson really liked the kid, so I think he's going to go be with his dad his last year. It's a good story.
Is Joe Bear going to Ole Miss too?
Haven't heard anything about that.
I hear a lot of things, and some of it everybody else has heard. Yeah. Some of it I don't comment on because you're not sure if it's accurate. But I've heard a lot of things, but I haven't heard Joe Bear's name.
Yeah, I have not heard that. Joe Bear's an interesting story because he had, 18 homers this past year, but he hit 250. And usually if you hit 18 homers, your average is going to be higher than that. So the pro draft is coming up on July 17th, and all it takes is one team, right, out there that believes you're more the 18 homer guy than you are the 250 guy. So somebody may pop him, and Joe Bear may be a guy that's ready to go. And so that, to me, but there's no guarantee. Like the draft is going to be, it's not like it used to be. Remember 2 years ago it was 5 rounds or 10 rounds. 10 rounds, and then last year was 20, and this year it's 20. And so because of that, and now this year it's international players are added to that pool, it's super tough to get drafted. And believe me, with only 20 rounds, they want to be drafting players that they're going to sign. They don't want to draft a guy and then have a negotiation and lose them. So there has to be
in the first 5 rounds.
What's that?
Especially in the first 5 rounds. They don't want to draft a guy that can't sign.
Yeah, particularly first 10, really.
Yeah.
But so it used to be back in the day, a guy like Joe Bear, who they weren't sure if they could convince to go pro or not, or they weren't sure merely on how they felt about him. They could take a flyer on him, draft him in the 35th round if he was still there, and then work on the negotiation side after, see how he does in the summer, see how other players do, and do they get him signed or not, have a conversation with them, kind of wear him down and see. Now, if they draft him, it's because they've got some sort of assurance that he's going to go. So, or there's a reasonable number that they don't mind hitting. Like if Joe Bear says, hey, give me $150,000 and I'll sign. All right, that's a reasonable number. He says 1.5, that's not reasonable. So, but the other thing, too, is that with the NIL, is there a package to be had? What I don't know about LSU baseball NIL, and there's all kinds of rumors out there that the tank kids get $10,000 a month and all this stuff. Who are these people? That's what I want to know. I'll listen. I'm gonna find out, and I'm not gonna call them out, but I want to find out who the team of money is, because Pulmonary used to do $1,000 a plate dinner before the season, and he did it in the locker room, and he had a long table, and they had it catered, and it was high end, and they had the big boosters that came and did $1,000 plate dinner, and that money was, went to like the coaches committee, and it was kind of like special discretionary money that they could use for things that the program needs, right? And there was, I don't know, 20 people at that dinner. You know what I mean? Like, it was, it wasn't, they raised 20 grand, 30 grand. They didn't raise 400 grand a year. So, where I want to know who else is, who are the big donors that are putting up to this NIL pot for LSU baseball, or, does it really exist? Because if Tank's getting money, are you not? Cruz has got to get money. This guy. I mean, there's so many good players that want theirs. Is there a deal to be made for Joe Bear to keep him here? It's a crazy, nuts world. It's oogie. It's gross. Gone are the days of the free burger in the back room at Brewbacher's back when I played, that we get like once every 3 or 4 weeks, and we felt like we were doing something. Now it's like, oh, you're getting how much a month? Wow, man, I'm only getting that. I mean, it's TK. Ugh.
Well, it always goes back to that almighty dollar. Follow the money. It's all about the money, the money, the money. I mean, it's amazing, but it's what it is. And if you don't like it, go do something else with your time. But most people are going to still, pull for their team and pull for their conference and all that stuff. It's definitely a major change in just the last couple of years.
Okay, so just a couple last little thoughts before we wrap up. Chance saying Saban probably sent an undercover recruit to get the video. That's not bad. That's a good one.
That's clever.
Stephen Miller saying, oh, yeah, in 2024, give me Rutgers and the points when UCLA travels to East Rutherford, New Jersey for an 11 a.m. Eastern time kickoff. Not a bad one right there, Stephen. That will be on Meat and Potatoes USA. Chance saying, do you think Oregon might lose commitments due to teams leaving? Now, Oregon's done a great job in recruiting. They've got fantastic facilities right there where Nike is, obviously. But, yeah, there's something to be said for that. If you're not playing in a mega conference, and you're not, in Oregon's case, you're not playing in Los Angeles against USC and UCLA and prime time and big markets, yeah, it's going to have an effect. The players are going to want to go where the best conferences are, and clearly the Big Ten and the SEC is saying, if you're not with us, everything else is secondary.
Yeah, no, the players want to be, a lot of players want to be in the SEC, the Big Ten. Let's don't forget about the ACC. You've got Florida State, Clemson. They both won national championships recently in football. I'm talking about. So I mean, it's craziness. But hey, if you're a sports fan, you got plenty of stuff to do with your time.
All right, Live Golf got underway yesterday. We'll talk plenty more about it on Monday. Kind of give a recap.
We're not here Monday, July 4th.
Oh, that's right, Tuesday. We'll be back on Tuesday, July 5th. We'll talk about the Live Golf Tournament, the first one in the United States, and kind of get the feedback and reaction from it.
Yeah, so that'll be big. We'll have Sports Shorts Daily next week, not on Monday the 4th. Actually, Tremonti's and Coach Creek Cafe are closed that day. So we'll get you scheduled. You know the drill. Connect on social media, and we'll keep you posted. Don't forget Sports Shorts Radio tomorrow morning at Calandro's on Perkins. We'll have a fun show for everybody. Everybody have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Be safe, be smart. And if you need something for the 4th of July weekend, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood got you covered. Meat case is full, 20 flavors of sausage, steaks, chicken, pork. You got all the wine and whiskey you need, the desserts.
Did you say 20 flavors of sausage?
Yes. 20 different flavors of sausage.
That's crazy.
That you can choose from. So everything you need for 4th of July. Now, they won't be open Sunday or Monday, so get your stuff. Guy just came in here earlier and bought all kind of stuff he's using for the weekend. So anything you need for the meat and seafood category, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Connect on Facebook and Instagram. Today, the lunch special, fried catfish with crawfish etouffee on it. And check out all the wine and the whiskey and everything you need for 4th of July. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge.
All right, he's Tommy. I'm Ronnie. We'll be back on Tuesday. Have a great 4th of July every week, everyone, and come on out to the Rougarou tonight. Free tickets and fireworks. Gates open at 6. First game 7 o'clock at Goldsby Field. So long, everyone.